Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. We find ourselves on the Sept of the Green, in at least the area surrounding the cabins. This area that's been home to a lot of different things. At one point in its illustrious history, it housed stargazers. At another point, it housed stargazers plus a full complement, several full complements of cubs, and one particularly cantankerous and at times strangely accented, Geta Fenris. And things have passed on through various hands and gotten to the point where now it just seems like a place where if you're going to live on Sept, you're probably going to live there. Plus the stargazers. But there's yet another person who is out of place. This individual is wearing a cheap suit with a long coat. He does not bother with anyone else in the area. He seems very focused on a cabin in particular, as though he's been directed to it at some point during his travels. Tell me, what's the state of the cabin at this point, given there are events that occurred that I was not witness to?
The exterior of the cabin is quite intact. No real outward signs other than there's a couple of kinfolk on the front that have moved various pieces of broken furniture out onto the porch and are in the process of disposing of it. And there are several large empty cardboard IKEA boxes that are waiting to be disposed of as well, sitting to one side of the cabin.
Beautiful. He observes this, and the only sound that comes out of his mouth is ugh. And he walks around the side of the cabin and eventually comes up on something that every gangrel typically has at his dwelling. Recycling bins. He looks in that. What's that full of?
That's full of Jameson bottles. There's probably a good 10 in there by now.
Initially, there's a bit of disgust, especially when he reads the label, and the sheer volume of it seems to hit him as he opens both recycling bins, and they're just full of JMO bottles. Whoa. Huh. Closes those and goes back around to the front, ignoring the kinfolk, and slams his fist on the door.
After a couple of minutes, a tired-looking, black-haired kinfolk opens the door and sees this person standing there. How much purebred does he have?
He is at a 4.
So you see him kind of jolt a little bit and like starts rubbing his hair, like trying to comb it back and stuff like that. Oh, sir.
Stop. Leave.
He kind of looks over his shoulder. Of course. And he like steps out, and as he's stepping out, he says, "Visitor for you, sir." And he just kind of smiles and heads off, like quickly, like you could see him like gesturing for the other kinfolk. Cool.
Okay, so this individual comes in, closes the door behind him, and takes a quick look around. How's the interior of the cabin doing?
This room actually was mostly untouched. It is the what I was calling the receiving area. So it's got like a couch and television and stuff like that. It was mostly untouched. You can see there are two different doors off of it. One which has like you can see there's pieces of an IKEA bed that are sitting in like a doorway, going into one of the rooms, and then the other one you can look through and kind of see a kitchen in there. You don't see anybody in there, but you do see cases of Jameson stacked in there.
Ugh. Um, he inspects the cases of Jameson just to see how full they are at this point.
There's two completely empties that are sitting there, and then there's four that appear to have at least one or two bottles taken from them.
Okay. Um, After he's taken stock of that, he kind of leans back up and starts going about room to room looking for any occupants.
Okay. One of the things that he will notice in the receiving room is a boutonniere, like a rose that someone might attach to their lapel for like a
Uh-huh.
prom or a wedding or something like that, sitting in a case on one of the tables. Um, and then when he starts to go towards the area that has all the bed furniture,
Yeah.
he'll look in and he'll see this gentleman sitting in a room that you could tell used to have furniture in it. Most of it has been smashed, but has been removed. So the room is mostly empty, other than the excuse me,
Oh
other
yeah.
than the pieces of new furniture that are in various stages of being put together. Um, he's kind of sitting on his rear end with his knees up in one of the corners. Uh, he's got a bottle of Jameson in front of him, in a glass, and he's just kind of sitting there, just kind of looking at the color of the. Looks like he's looking at the color of the liquid.
Well, I see you've taken the local custom quickly.
He looks up over the glass, eyes narrow, extremely bloodshot. You could probably smell the alcohol on him from across the room.
Probably.
It's what one does on their wedding day, or so I hear.
He looks around. I see no bride unless you've frightened her off.
He frowns. No, it's what would have been.
I see. Well, you've
He's
made a fine mess of things. And he walks over to what he thinks is going to be a stable chair. Takes off his long coat. There's a proper jacket under it, because of course there is.
of course.
Lays it on the back of the chair, only for the chair to collapse. Its last gasps of anything resembling stability dying with the slightest of weights. And he stares at that.
A little bit of a snicker.
Fine
He
mess
was
indeed.
he wasn't quite done with that one apparently.
Apparently. So, son of Falcon, your kinfolk are terrified. You've destroyed parts of your cabin, and you are indeed the talk of the town as a fucking drunk.
He kind of smiles and raises the glass. Day's not done yet. Takes another sip.
Tell me, am I going to have to endure these fits of pique for the rest of your stay here?
He kind of looks around, mockingly almost. I don't recall anyone asking you to come here. You're welcome to drink.
You see, that's the thing. I wasn't asked to be here. I am the representative of House Wormfoe assigned specifically to watch over you, young man. Officially, to monitor your progress and guide you along the proper path of a half-moon. Unofficially, because you're the member of a fallen house in the middle of his enemy's territory, and, well, no one's ever that trusting.
Sighs, head kind of droops a little bit. I wondered how long it would take for the jailer to arrive. He kind of pushes his hand against the wall to leverage himself up to his feet. He leaves the hand there because he's pretty sure if he did not, he would probably fall back down. Kind of brings himself to full height. Very well then. I am Balian Kraus. Predators focus to the nation. Son of Falcon. Member of House Gleaming Eye. Born on 2 legs. Under a half moon. In the Lodge of the Sun. Cleave of the nation.
This guy sits through that. Thomas Gunn, known to the nation as Iron Cross. Son of Falcon, born on 2 legs, member of House Wormfoe, and devotee of the Lodge of the Sun. Like you, a half-moon, and an Adrian under the nation.
When you say your rank, he'll lower himself to 1 knee slowly and shakily and turn his head to the side.
I tell you to rise, but you can barely stand.
I appreciate the notion. He'll just kind of slide his leg that he's kneeling on back under and sit back against the wall.
What do you think of when you think of a king, Balian?
He sits back, heading kind of leaning his head in the corner of the room. The only one I've ever known is dead.
Seems that you don't really appreciate the Socratic method just as well. King is as much a symbol as they are an actual leader. They're meant to stand tall, proud, inassailable, in both skill and virtue, whether or not these things are actually true. There's something for the nation to look up to. An ideal. Now, we both know things aren't perfect. Little displays like this form cracks in that ideal. When cracks form in ideals, people get very, very interesting temptations about them. The kind that say would lead to the death of an entire house. This
His bloodshot, drunken eyes narrow at that.
is not helping that at all.
Kind of leans forward. This has nothing to do with that.
It has everything to do with that. You bear your house's name. For you and all the other survivors, the collective stain on their honor rests. And the burden to rise back up. Whether or not you choose it, Cleith, you carry a weight dropped by your forebears. Every second of every day. So this, and he gestures around to the pretty jacked up room. This just won't do. Doesn't befit a lord, let alone a king.
He shakes his head. You speak to be of weight in this place.
In all places.
But let me tell you about weight. His eyes kind of blaze a little bit. The weight of hundreds of my kin that died not 10 yards from here. What weight is the joke that brought me here? Resigned to pack with Fiona. Forced to marry a lesser house. What weight was that? The weight of a joke?
The weight of a cracked ideal. And the temptations that follow. Do you think if our former king and your father had made the decisions they did and displayed in the way that they had, that these followers of Bone Nars would have had the gall? And here you are, tearing the crack even wider. You should be packing with Fiona. You're already taking up their ways.
He stares and kind of rages back at you. What do you want from me?
I want you to act like a damn leader.
Lead what? This?
And this individual will now cross the room and will make hands for Balian's collar. Does Balian resist?
He's too drunk.
He's too drunk. So Balian gets pulled up by the collar.
Absolutely.
Exactly this. We lead the nation, for better or worse. If you can rally a bunch of bone gnars and slack-jawed morons, you can rally anything.
He kind of drunkenly just kind of raises his arms like he's trying to push you away. It's not very effective, so you can totally keep a hold of him if you want.
What will happen
There's
when
absolutely no
resisted?
force behind it.
Yeah, I bet. Level 0 kitten.
Yeah.
What will happen when that occurs is Balian will be drugged one way, drugged the other, and then cast to the ground.
He lands there, gives you that drunken one-eye look.
What happens afterwards is Mr. Gunn walks up and kind of knocks Balian over onto his back with a foot that is then held on his chest.
That will get more of a response. Still as ineffective as ever, but he will definitely be trying to get out from under that foot. He is drunker than Cooter Brown, but he still has a little bit of his pride. But it's still, like I said, he's so intoxicated, it's just ineffective flailing pretty much. Get off of me!
Oh, what are you going to do from down there? You going to convince me with that putrid whiskey on your breath? Leaders stand. The rest stay under the heel.
He continues to flail. He's trying to roll.
This is pathetic. But I believe I've made my point, and he'll take his foot off at that.
He'll try to struggle to his feet, probably a little bit too quickly, and then end up leaning against the wall. Kind of that butt lean type thing where just your butt's against the wall.
Okay.
You've made your point. Does my new liege have any orders for me? Or am I to sit? Or has he even remembered that he sent you?
You are to remain here and execute your duties as a philodox of the nation. Under, of course, my guidance. Should you have need of me, I'm never very hard to reach. That being said, I expect you at sunrise. Sober. We'll be meeting on Millionaire Mile. It's a very nice Marriott there. I quite like it.
It's the kind of reply between clenched teeth. Yes, Raya.
Oh, and don't come in those stained rags. They won't even let you through the door.
I feel certain I can find something.
One can only hope. And with that, Mr. Gunn turns on his heel and leaves the building.
Balian pushes himself up to his feet, starts to stumble towards the door as if to throw the bottle after him. He kind of catches his reflection in the mirror and stops. He looks at it, sneers, throws the bottle with it, all the force he has at the mirror, and shatters it.
And with Balian surrounded by the shattered image of a fallen house and his very visage scattered across the floor, I believe that we can end our scene. Watchers, thank you for watching. Player, thank you for playing. And we'll see you next time on another edition of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.